ভকতির বাণী পৃথিবীতে আনি, জীবে দয়া হলো সারা। সবই অবতার সার শিরোমণি, গৌর প্রভুর ধারা। যে বাণী সবার অজ্ঞাত ছিল, তোমার আশিসে জগৎ মাঝারে বর্ষিত হল গুরুদেব মহারাজ। পরম ব্রহ্ম পরম পুরুষ প্রমাণ করিলে তুমি, নির্বিশেষে নির্বাণবাদ ত্যাজিল ভারত ভূমি। নবীন জীবন লোভী মোরা তাই উল্লাসে হয়ে মগ্ন, তোমার চরণ বন্দনা করি মোহ পাশ করি ভগ্ন। যদি আজ প্রকাশ না হতো অন্ধ তিমির হানি, বৃত্ত কণ্ঠে তবে কে শোনাত শ্রী ভগবানের বাণী। সেই অধিকার তোমার এই সাজে, দণ্ড তোমার হাতে, কৃপা করিয়ে অধম জনের নিয়ে চলো তব সাথে। তুমি যে দেখালে ভক্তির পথ, তুলনাতেও তার নাম, শিশিরের মতো উজ্জ্বল আর উচ্ছল তার ঠাম। চির পুরাতন শাশ্বত বাণী নবীন সাজেতে রাজে, তোমার কৃপা প্রকাশ স্বরূপে সারা জগতে মাঝে। সে শুভ দিনে আরাধনা করে জাগরে জগৎবাসী, চৈত্র মধু স্বর্গ মেদু শুভ লগনের রাশি। Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. জয় ভক্তি সিদ্ধান্ত সরস্বতী ঠাকুর, ভক্তি সিদ্ধান্ত সরস্বতী ঠাকুর। জয় ভক্তি সিদ্ধান্ত সরস্বতী ঠাকুর, ভক্তি সিদ্ধান্ত সরস্বতী ঠাকুর। নিতাই গৌর হরি গৌর।
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. Hare Krishna. So today we are very fortunate to have association of His Holiness Vedavyasapriya Swami Maharaj. I will just like to give a little brief introduction about Maharaj. Maharaj was born on 1st August 1944 in high-class Brahmin family and has a spiritual interest from his childhood only. And he worked as a research biochemist in Purvashram, both in East Africa and USA. And in USA, he met with Srila Prabhupada disciples there. Since before his first initiation by his divine grace, Srila Prabhupada in 1977 in New York, Maharaj has served ISKCON in various capacities, including personal secretary to GBC, president of ISKCON of Queens, New York, director of Bharatiya Community Services in New Vrindavan, West Virginia. And after 1987, Maharaj shifted his attention to serving in India following the instructions of Srila Prabhupada. that every Indian trained in the West must serve to help in India, and had served ISKCON in various capacities like wider services of regional secretary in Punjab and Haryana, as chairman of North Indian Temple Divisional Council for 7 years following its inception. Since 98, Maharaj serving as the initiating spiritual master and preaching far and wide throughout the world, giving spiritual guidance, teaching to the devotees all the level of advancement in Krishna consciousness, sadhana, deity worship, and temple seva. So we are very fortunate to have association of Maharaj, and we are going to hear about various pastime from life of Srila Prabhupada and his interactions with His Holy Bhakti Charu Swami Guru Maharaj. And at last, we can have some question answer if the devotees has something to ask. So we welcome Maharaj by loudly chanting one time Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, you can start Maharaj now.
Okay. I don't have to speak much about myself, but I would like to glorify Maharaj, who was very kind upon me. He hosted me several times, and even in Mayapur, when he had this very lofty apartment, we used to go there and have frequent pizzas. Maharaj would himself make, and the devotees would enjoy. So I learned something from him, which I also quite relish. Well, as you know, Bhakti Charu Swami's, devotional history is like a touchstone. As soon as he got initiated, first and second, Srila Prabhupada engaged him in translating his books into Bengali. And so many translations have become the backbone of the Bengali devotees to study the Shastras. If you read Gaudiya Bengali literature, or which literature which has been translated from their English version, are a little complicated because they spoke British Bengali, and Prabhupada did not speak much of British Bengali. Of course, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj was speaking heavy English, and that we are proud because Prabhupada also speaks the words of his spiritual master. But Bhakti Charu Swami's Bengali was as sweet as Prabhupada's translation of English. So that was the first and foremost. And this bring intimate relationship with him. We also know that he served Srila Prabhupada until last. He was his personal caretaker, administrating medicine and whatever his personal needs were, it was served by him. So such an intimate relationship from the very beginning of his joining Krishna consciousness has been at the highest level. So what to speak, all over the years, he fulfilled the desires of Srila Prabhupada by creating Ujjain temple and a safe haven for his disciples to spread all over India. Ujjain being the center of in Madhya Pradesh, and especially the heart of education is Sandipani Muni's ashram, where Krishna himself, along with Balaram, came to study. When I was regional secretary of Indore in Madhya Pradesh, I used to frequently come to Ujjain. You know, uh, there was many occasions to come to Indore and Ujjain, especially in Kumbh Mela also. That was, I think, in which year? Before the Ujjain temple came into the. So Maharaj was specifically, invite the ICC members to come, and it was given such a surprise in one meeting about his plan to make the temple in Ujjain. He found the land, and he was rushing up so much, plans to put through that it was not what you call in line of what we call um, uh, the methodology of a standard approach and resolve the issues. But no, he immediately jumped, and then resolve will be there. So he invited Radhanath Swami to help him out in this particular project. And both of them became the co-GPCs, and that resolved much more of the problem. But in any rate, within 9 months, maybe 9.5 months, Ujjain temple came into existence, and it surprised. It is like, one becomes pregnant with devotional service, and devotional service becomes so much intensified that there is an automatic growth in enthusiasm, automatic growth in having the functionality of attraction towards Krishna in that small center that was across the road. I also came there, and I was seeing the enthusiasm of the people. He immediately attracted, and they followed his demeanor, his sweetness, and attracted to take up Krishna consciousness. So healthy. Maharaj has a charming mood. I was thinking, Bhakti Charu means one whose devotional is very sweet and attractive. Charu means attractive. Krishna is attracted by bhakti, so therefore the quality of bhakti must be charu. So he leaves such an example, a literary example himself to befitting his name. We are given spiritual name, so we may become qualified to fulfill the obligation behind the name. Prabhupada expresses himself in Malkina Bhagavad Dharma, Bhakti nahi, Veda nahi, Name Khuba Dharo, and begging the mercy that if you think, I'm qualified, then it is your job to fulfill the meaning of Bhakti Vedanta. Otherwise, I don't have. So with all this, thinking in mind, Bhakti Charu Swami was an inspiration for me. I tried to emulate some of the nice artistic examples, motifs and paintings in Ujjain Mandir, especially the Rasa Leela in the center. It was, of course, I converted into a three-dimensional diorama. It was a huge diorama, probably 14 feet in fact. So you can imagine how big is the. But I saw that in fiberglass, and then when he came to Fiji, he saw in the temple that I was interested to beautify. So Maharaj was very appreciative. I said, Maharaj, this is your idea, not my idea. He said, yeah, how could it be, So I said, I took pictures by lying down in the center of the dome and took the picture as flat as possible. And then I gave the idea that we a three-dimensional figure in curved pattern, because I want to make a dome. And interior of the dome is just like a curved and the lotus being seen from inside. So like that. And it came out beautiful. The center, Radha Krishna and 8 gopis with Krishna dancing. And those, they became like 8 petals surrounding the whole dome. And by fluke, it fitted so perfectly that it exists. Otherwise, I'm not a civil engineer. I'm not an artist. I'm a nobody, actually. But Maharaj is an inspiration I took, and it happened. Many were instrumental to, do. But all the work of fiberglass, we got it done from Krishnanagar. And my disciples were helping also. But most of the supervision and everything I have to do. Just like Maharaj was constantly, engaged in managing the funds, managing the supervision of the construction, the quality of the materials being used. He was personally so much engrossed. So that gave me inspiration to do this. And somehow or another, it is very extraordinary thing that for the first time I have witnessed myself when the 2 Matajis responsible who are in charge of that temple in Fiji, they wanted to come and meet with Bhakti Charu Swami. So I was in Vrindavan, and we all traveled together to Ujjain. And Maharaj was so cordial, that he invited not only me, but 2 Matajis also to have lunch prasadam with him. Generally, sannyasis do not eat in front of ladies. What to speak of, so much in, they should be engrossed. They are requested to be alone and think of mercy of Krishna while consuming the Krishna. That should be the meditation. Actually, Prabhupada used to do that when he was in Radha Damodar temple. But at the same time, he maintained that standard wherever he went, even in New York. So nobody would be disturbing him during the lunch. And if he's taking, and if his senior devotee, disciples who, like Swami Maharaj, and he will instruct, give him a seat, asan, and also serve the prasadam along with me. Bhakti Charu Swami, myself and 2 Matajis are taking prasadam together, I never saw any sannyasi means from doing that. If I'm not sure. But this was so cordial meeting. And Bhakti Charu Swami has a good rapport with Mataji running the uh, temple. Still, he was well respected, and whenever he would come to Fiji, he would certainly make a point to visit our Singapore temple in Fiji. And he was appreciating so much and always remained pleased. He was guiding them while he was the executive chairman. We received his guidance on how to handle the situations is that way. So Maharaj was specifically, known for his straightforwardness and, without much necessity of going into a kind of protocol, he would resolve things very abruptly or very quickly. In that sense. I had some reminiscence of Maharaj during the New York court case recently 2 years back, when Maharaj was GBC EC chairman. He was entrusted as an EC to look into this. And because I was also formerly one of the trustees of New York Temple, we have put up petition and working in a cooperative way as a team work. And Bhakti Charu Swami, with a good enthusiasm, he took care of the problems, even though Maharaj was able to tolerate, the misbehaving of the previous president of the temple. So, in any way, any rate, we had our own strategy, and finally, the conclusion came to be, of the glory, and which was led by Bhakti Charu Swami and his team. Many older devotees were also involved, but it was quite satisfying that long-pending court cases, Maharaj has long-standing area, the tolerance, and all retaining the enthusiasm. How could you retain enthusiasm and tolerance at the same time? Such devotional qualities are very important to be, imbibed. If somebody is facing some kind of problem in administration, then naturally he has to be both tolerant in the sense that he has to cultivate that kind of patience and enthusiasm together. Utsaha nishchaya dhairya tatta karma pravartana. So this becomes very spontaneously observed in Bhakti Charu Swami's dealings in ISKCON. He would be always first to announce his participation, his contribution. I remember he played $1 million for the trophy case. And it gave so much enthusiasm. Within first year, he put up 1/3 of his commitment, second year, 1/3, and third. So we were given like this about 3-year period to come to the point of $11.6 million to put up in what we call bankruptcy case for child abuse that was mounted. So Bhakti Charu Swami always leads. When he understands that collectively it might be possible, but who would become the first and foremost to put up a pledge. And the highest pledge he would put, highest pledge he would put. And everybody follows the trend. So in that sense, he was a leader of, of very instant justifying, resolutions. So how he chose from Mayapur to come to Ujjain is also very quick and justifiable, move. He did it. And because I was also involved in having some kind of land, being a regional secretary, I used to take Mahaman to Ujjain and come to few negotiations. But we did not know that Maharaj is also approaching, and Maharaj really surprised and outwitted us. So anyway, it was a happy thing that something is coming up at a grand scale while Indore is still suffering. But anyway, I'm not in anymore in any administrative capacity, but the preaching enthusiasm and the last part of his developing the land property really touched me like anything. First of all, nobody could acquire that much land in Florida, and what we call this Florida Panhandle. When I was in New Vrindavan, we purchased 176-acre property, and the cost at that time was hardly $162,000. And I was in charge of the not only membership, but cultivating Indian community throughout the United States and Canada, both together. So we purchased, and that just to grow flowers. And we can't maintain. There were certain devotees who were engaged, and they say it is too difficult to grow the flowers. And if we ship you, then you have to purchase from us. We can't even afford to send them, So better purchase, so we will have some money to send you. Now this was the situation. And within a year and a half, that Tempa property was sold out. And then I didn't participate much. But Maharaj got about the same size of land with a lake and few cabins and so much in the land. And he has a very good, plan to develop it, not only as a health resort or food for life was being conducted, but eventually it would turn into spiritual tourism type. That many devotees came, they have the idea, this, that. It didn't take off the ground even, what to speak. But Maharaj was the first one to occupy this particular property. And of course, that was his main project after Ujjain. That's what it seems to be, because he went regardless just to help out the devotees. Even though it is in initial stages, but Maharaj went, and his entire inner consciousness was being expressed since several years, as I see in the Vedavyasapriya book offering of I think 2012. We expressly, desires to meet Srila Prabhupada. He was feeling intense separation, but this intense separation was intensified devotional service. And he always wanted, association of Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada never left him, but he wants to make it possible to mix with Prabhupada. You know, he had that intense desire. If intense desire in devotional service and that was favorable to both the Guru and Krishna, then naturally it manifests. You know, otherwise, how could we come face to face with the Lord as Paramatma in our heart? How can we go back home back to Godhead if this desire is not intensified? So that example itself is very enlightened in the advancement of devotional service. And Bhakti Charu Swami did the first and foremost example. He was so much going out from his inner strength. He didn't care of Corona. He simply was eager, extensive eager to meet his life and soul to the Prabhupada. So we can understand that Bhakti Charu Swami remained foremost of all the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, and would always desire to have his manifested presence in front of his Guru Maharaj, wherever. So we are not impersonalists, we are not, speculators, but it is possible by your devotional service and the devotees like Bhakti Charu Swami exemplifies this. So I would like to stop here. If anybody has any question or comment.
Hare Krishna, devotees, if anybody has any question or comment, you can raise your hand and I will unmute you. Till now, Maharaj, there is no question in the chat box. Hare Krishna, Maharaj. We can continue for a few more time if you want, because generally by 8:15, like that, devotee post their questions. Okay, one question. Uttam Shlok Pro has raised the hand. Okay, I'm just unmuting you. You can ask your question.
Is anybody asking me something? Because we have rain and the noise is interrupting. Uttam Shloka Das, Prabhu.
हरे कृष्ण महाराज धन्यवाद प्रणाम आपको हमारा
Hare
please
Krishna.
accept my humble obeisances. Since I saw you on the screen today, I want to pray my humble obeisances unto your lotus feet, that how good preaching you do all over the world, similar like Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj was doing. And it was very good that we were able to manage you to come to Chicago land at our home also. And we were very pleased that you came. I don't have much questions, but since you were here on this Zoom, I want to give my pranam to you. That's why I just came on the screen here right now.
I remember Maharaj, we were in Suwa temple in Fiji, and Maharaj came after Abhay Charan series came out, he was bringing in some of the copies. And somehow or another, at that time, we had to share the room. There was only one sannyasi room, but we shared it, and he didn't mind. Uh, then the next thing that I wanted 2 copies of that Abhay Charan series. And he said, why 2? Maharaj, the disciples are so many and divided into several zones. At least, if I can contribute some. I said, no, that's okay. But I didn't bring that many. I could get whatever, um, I can carry. So, but nonetheless, he says, I'll give you later one, but you have one right now. So I said, okay. And then he remembered, he gave me after a couple of days, another one. So exchanges are there, even so simple but relishable,
Hare Krishna Maharaj, there is one question. Can you please share something about your early days in Krishna consciousness?
I joined Krishna consciousness in New York. I migrated from East Africa to New York in September of 1971. And we didn't have any clue where we are going to settle or this or that. And we did not bring that kind of money also with us. I was coming from Uganda and with a friend. So both we were teachers, so we would like to get an employment anywhere just to start our living. So we were staying in YMCA for 21 days, and try to look for the job. Within 5 days, we got the job. But where I was doing the work, there was one devotee also working. He used to come because he was raising a family of about 5 members, and he gave me the card. They were publishing the weekly Love Feast card. So that was the thing. And as far as going to a restaurant or cooking, there was no question at all that we didn't have anything to cook our food in, whatever it is. But we of course, it was not that expensive. Even YMCA was only $4 per day at that time, to share. And we ended up eating pizza because that was the only, food which will be used as a staple food. We'll purchased about 14-inch diameter pizza, and consume the whole thing. So then within, I think, 3rd or 4th week itself, we were invited by some others that we were keeping the touch to share the apartment. Instead of sharing the room, it became sharing the apartment. And we were all trying to fix our job according to our qualifications, which was already, during the time of inflation, the unemployment was about 9%. And that is said to be high in the United States, 1971. So we had to accept. So, but nonetheless, we were trying to apply in our field. And I got in 3 months, and then I thought I should move out. But during that time of, we were sharing an apartment with 8 people. The devotees would come to see me uh, and uh, extend their friendship, and they were always inviting me. So I said, I got the card, no problem. So we were now struggling to have, but there is no grocery available, no Indian groceries were available in 71, And if the grocery is available, who is going to cook? We were 8 people. So it was tough. I had some interest in cooking, and sometimes I would cook. But if you keep on working and then cooking, it's completely impossible. So then we had an opportunity. One time we were invited, but before any invitation from any other Indian or Gujarati, especially home who had family, and they would bring from India something that is not available. So I took out that card and I told, let's go to the temple, Hare Krishna temple. My friends are coming, they are inviting us. So they give Sunday feast. So 3, 4 of us, we went, and we had a very nice prasadam in Brooklyn Temple, the old Brooklyn Temple. So these were the early time of settlement. But nonetheless, all these years, start from one, I was constantly in touch with the devotees, And in 1974, I became life member. I came to Vrindavan for the first time. I was so much enticed by the president, my god brother. He's in Brisbane right now. He was the temple president at that time. And because the construction of the temple was going on in Vrindavan, but the guest house was ready. And being a life member, we were allowed to stay. So he was so much persuading me to stay overnight at least. And then I said, I came in a tourist bus on the way to Agra. They were going to stop over here. And I thought that will be the best way for me to come. If I would have known anything, I could have certainly made another plan. But now the time is also running out. I came in memory of my grandmother that I had to go to Haridwar. But Vaishnavism was just being sprouting at that time. Piety was there because born in a Brahmin family, we were religious, and every practice was there. Moreover, I was inclined to read Bhagavad Gita, study, and so many things were going on. Devotees saw that thing in me, and therefore they were always attracted to me rather than I was attracted to them. They never gave me up. They would come even in my research lab in New Jersey, and they would converse, give me some prasadam or some magazine, and then go. Others may chuckle, but one of our own department secretary, he was, he knew the devotees, and he received the first 2 volumes of Back to Godhead magazine, which were cyclo-style. So I was coming closer and closer to Krishna consciousness movement, and my participation wholeheartedly started when the devotees moved, rather going the deities from Henry Street, Brooklyn to Manhattan, 340 West 55th Street, the celebrated 13th floor high skyscraper. Prabhupada liked so much. So I had darshan of Srila Prabhupada, but I don't have any intimate talk. I had all the way, association of the devotees. So even though I was initiated while Srila Prabhupada was incapacitated, and 1 month before he left his body, and we attended the Rath Yatra in 1976. He came, but he was so sick. I heard him. I could not go personally to see him to that closeness. But devotees say that yes, we should not go. We should stay here and listen to what he says. So he gave a very short lecture, about 15-20 minutes, in the Washington Square Park, where the Rath Yatra festivities going. So, but I think of life members, and we became life member in Henry Street in 1974, in month of November. So then I visited in 75 January to Haridwar and Vrindavan, and yet I was unable to see Srila Prabhupada. Then when Srila Prabhupada started his journey to come to London and then to New York in 1977, month of July, we were told to get ready because we'll be initiated. But we were not that fortunate. Prabhupada was so sick that he was diagnosed diabetic, and he had some minor operation also, and he had to go back from London. And thus we were so much, disappointed in that sense. But nonetheless, we have to conduct Rath Yatra, and after I used to come to the temple in 76 when Jayananda Prabhu was himself engaged for making a cart, a Rath Yatra cart. I would go there and try to help whatever little. But in 77, I took some responsibility to engage myself in making a cart. Generally, the motifs on the dome structure of the cart. So, seeing this enthusiasm, I was getting more and more opportunity. In the same way, in 1978, they commissioned me to make a big styrofoam Jagannath, about 6 foot tall, to be for Boston Rath Yatra. At that time, I was already, I moved in the temple, I moved in the temple, and I was executing all the services. At the same time, my research was going on. It was in 79 that I resigned and gave up, became full-time. So in this way, the early days, it is simply I'm made up of my own God brother's mercy. They took care of me when Prabhupada left the material world. So Bhakti Charu Swami also took initiation in 77, the same year.
Yeah, 77, Gaur Purnima.
Yeah, Gaur Purnima, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and mine was in the month of October. Prabhupada left the body on 14th November.
Hmm.
So there was a gap of about a month plus some days. But anyway, once you come in the movement, then automatically you become busy in executing devotional service. It is only by hook, not by crook. our devotional progress will go by hook. Just get hooked up, and Krishna will automatically pull you up. So anyway, this is the early days. Then I started traveling from 78 onwards. When I became full time in 79, more and more responsibilities came. I was secretary to the GBC and would accompany him wherever we go, Northeast and Caribbean island. So Puerto Rico and Trinidad, Tobago, Guyana, all these countries, where many, Indians were, brought by Britishers 5 generations back, just to till the sugarcane, as sugarcane farmers. But anyway, it was nice experience to travel, and my traveling continued both in the United States and elsewhere. Most of my international travel began after I took up the responsibility of initiating the spiritual master. So that's good enough.
Yes, Maharaj, one last question is there. One devotee is asking, can you please narrate that pastime of State Bank of India loan? Here, I think there is some pastime. I think State Bank of India, yeah, some loan was there, $50,000 or something like.
Oh, yeah. This is the story that when we became life member in 74, we used to meet once a month. And this way, some progress of enrolling the members was going on. But in 1975, we struck one of the first, kidnapping and deprogramming, case. One girl, she was teenage, but she ran away from her parents because of some, dislikes. They want to become independent, and she took shelter in New York Temple. The president and then he became the GBC. That he was, he was questioned. So they have to hide the girl, and then they came to know that the president himself is involved. So we have to hide the president. In this way, things were mounting. But nonetheless, the court case came up as very famous. First and foremost, court case was what we call brainwashing and deprogramming. Kidnapping was not done by the devotees, but they were charged with brainwashing. Prabhupada would always chant, yes, we wash your brain because it's dirty. It has stool in your brain, so we wash clean. What's bad about it? But to lump us in the group of so much, highly fanatic to adhere the religion is called a cult. So they were trying to put us in cult form because there were so many other cults also, and they were becoming infamous, and they were not law-abiding, and they were fanatics, So, so many, became infamous. Like Rajneesh was also became infamous. Prior to that, there was Jim Jones cult and other things are there. But they were all thinking that Hare Krishna is also one of them because of weird hairstyle, weird, outfits and so much, and they push on the literature, like that. So there was, this case was going on, and that was in New York. But in 1975, uh, uh, I think it was Ram Navami, devotees purchased this 340 West building, in New York, in Manhattan, which was very posh area, and uh, they left the lease on in Brooklyn, Henry Street. They were so much, enthusiastic to move in the new temple. But when they abandoned the previous without handing over the charge, the owner was an Italian, and Italians are very tricky, crafty, and so when they saw the wall was broken to make a big room for the temple, and this what they did to my building, he wanted repair money. So he set fire and claim, because the lease was on, the claim on Hare Krishna. So there were two cases simultaneously going on, and the judgment came. We were so frantic to collect petition from Indian to support the temple, and we collected about 74,000 signatures at that time, which was extraordinary. And the second thing was, Prabhupada was in India, Sikh, and he would guide the devotees. The last thing, he was so very, very disappointed when the court case was, going on. But Prabhupada said, only we have to resort for the help only to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. And nowhere else. He is the only one who is our savior. You can do one thing, take all my books and just put on the desk of the judge. And this was a miracle. We put, and the judge, so much astounded by the literary aspect, by devotional aspect. Oh my God, he gave the judgment so much in our favor that we are authoritative Vaishnava tradition of the Hindu religion. We are bona fide, and such an important, judgment never came ever after. But this was the establishment of ISKCON, and we won, and we became so enthusiastic. But then there was a blow. The Italian owner of that building who set fire, because devotees were still having the lease on, and he claimed punitive damage charges on the devotees. And the judgment came for that to punish the devotees. So that $50,000 was to be collected overnight. That was overnight. And who would give 50,000? Our salary was not, and my salary was about, 1,200. No, not even 1,200. Yeah, you can say 11 to 1,200. I mean, 11 to 12,000 per year, and $50,000. So we had one life member from State Bank of India, our New York branch, Manhattan branch, and he came forward. I can give you the loan, but not on his company. I want a collateral from your life members. They can come forward. If you have 17 life members, you know, taking $3,000 each, guaranteeing, with their bank account and bank certificate, they are able to, pay in case of default. Oh my God, yes. But who would go and put the bell in the on the cat? So I was caught. The life membership came to me and can you, Mr. Vyas, can you please help me? We need, this is very important to be done. I said, okay. So I took that day off and went to 17 people I know personally. And I said, do it. All right. And they said, you will be responsible. If ISKCON cannot pay back, then we will hold your throat. I said, okay. And within 24 hours running here and there, we must have traveled about 1,000 kilometers back and forth. Anyway, that will take about 12 hours. But nonetheless, we collected and we got the loan and paid. And I was appointed to oversee every month the loan is being paid. And by the end of the year, we paid back. So this was the loan as a punitive damage. And because the devotees do not know, because nobody owned a house even, these devotees are hippies. They don't have any possession. How do they know the intricate laws? Prabhupada had to guide them, even in the dealing of getting a rental place. If you read in Lilamritam, Prabhupada had to guide Brahmananda. He said, don't you ever do this. Be careful. This the agents, the real estate agents are crafty. The lawyers are crafty. Do not give them money in advance. Like that. So devotees don't know. And devotees were enthusiastic to inform Srila Prabhupada that we purchased a big temple. Of course, Prabhupada was very happy. When he came in 1975, he was very happy. He went to many places. But he was very happy in 1976 when he came for Rath Yatra. Devotees prepared his room on 10th floor. The roof was pretty near on the 13th. So they would take Prabhupada on the elevator, and there was a big terrace, and you can see skyscrapers all around you, and he was very much impressed with the Empire State Building, which was seen very clearly without any hindrance of other, and that was the location he liked. He said, if I die in New York, please bury me here. Make the samadhi on the rooftop. That was Prabhupada's, like. Of course, he gave such enthusiasm to the devotees at such an extent that we understand the importance of, having this property. Prabhupada was very, very happy. But as the history says, devotees are not yet perfect. In 1979, we sold that property, of course, with a $1.75 million profit. And we think we did the big job. But unfortunately, we had so much outstanding and unpaid bills that most of the money was being chewed up. There were $250,000 of telephone bill, $65,000 worth of parking tickets that devotees were so careless, and they park the car and they get the tickets. So all this, the Con Edison, we know we spent two winters in total cold. For 2 consecutive, there was no money to get heat even. In 78, I know it was total freezing condition. In my room, there was a pipe going through, and icicles were, clustered around. So this were the time when such a big venture is not managed by the devotees, because they don't know anything. And they are given charge, okay, you do this, you do this. So it is simply by hearsay and not by training. So anyway, but the movement was expanding. In that building, we were about 425 devotees living. Such a concentrated place, like a buzzing beehive, and it is so much enthusiastic. We made so many good friends, so much. But when they sold it, and $1.7 million profit, it was regrettable. We could not settle down to make 5 temples of the profit even. Everything got crumbled, as if there was a big offense to the deities. I was given 1 temple in Queens, in Indian community, for establishing Srinathji, the Giridhari Swarup. And we tried to do for about more than a year, but we have also to close the chapter and go to New Vrindavan. Then Tobacco Temple is still under siege. They can't officially do. There was a Long Island Temple. It was hijacked by Madhu Pandit, his men there. And it is still under litigation. And Brooklyn Temple was also being hijacked by Rambhagda Prabhu, and we have to salvage that. There was one temple in upstate New York where Jagannath Subhadra, and they became defaulters. They didn't have any source of income. So Jagannath Subhadra are in Baltimore now. So all the deities were, completely separated. And I was told when the GBC, fell down, a new GBC came and told me to close my temple. He said, I cannot take burden of more deity worship in this area. So, okay, I said, bye-bye. I went to New Vrindavan. What can I do? We were enthusiastic to continue devotional service, so we continued there. Anyway, the management and everything, we saw those days, learned a lot, and we tried, we did quite good in New Vrindavan also. But nevertheless, so much internal reformation and other things was coming down during that time. And that was the part of also early day struggles. We learned a lot, but still things are going on. I visit all the places wherever I have served, and now whatever the situation is, permitting us to expand more and more, we will do. Now, I don't know about the situation in Ujjain about Corona. What is going on there? Everything is okay so far?
Yes, Maharaj, it's better now.
I'm getting bad news from Vrindavan itself.
Yeah.
Vrindavan is again shutting down because there are several cases, 6, 7 cases are there. And tomorrow there will be, testing about 100 more devotees. There are so many COVID, and they are being isolated, One of your god brother is in charge of our the Sankirtan department. He went for Samadhi, celebrations there in Mayapur, and then came back. He was Corona positive, and then he spread. So many other devotees are, affected. So it's a panicking situation. People, devotees say, we are Krishna's bhakta, nothing is going to happen to us. But everybody cannot fulfill their desire like Bhakti Charu Swami did. That is the point. Nobody can fulfill that. We can't imitate Maharaj. We should simply understand the transcendental situation that is creating a sort of separation. But there is nothing about the material mistake or this or that to be understood. The desire to serve Srila Prabhupada in person is stronger in him than anybody else. So far, not visible. Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much. There is one comment by Uttam Shlok Prabhu. He's saying, Maharaj Shri, we all are in family life and working and come in contact all kind of persons. We are doing possible best ways seva at home to Lord, but still feel like we are not inclined in a spiritual life. How to overcome in cleaning the dirt still have in our mind and grow in spiritual life more and more. Your association is very important to us. Please visit again to Chicago and please give your association everywhere. I love you, Maharaj.
Yeah. I visited Ujjain in month of February and went to attend Mayapur from Ujjain itself, And after the Mayapur meeting, I went on about 28th February. 28th February. I left for South Africa. I stayed with your god brother. He is very cordial to house me. We enjoyed a few days. Went to Botswana Gaur Purnima and came back to Johannesburg, you know. And again, we spent some time, but we have 2 days in between. I say on 11th March, we flew to Victoria Falls, the world's biggest, and me and my disciple, we were together. There we heard about the deadline, and after that, no foreign travels are going to be possible or invited. They cannot land even. So we cut short everything and reached here on the same day on 13th March in Mumbai. And immediately they put me in Kerala, extended, so this is I'm still here in Kerala. Cannot move anywhere. Uh, I have little more advanced age, not advanced spirituality, but advanced age than your Guru Maharaj. I just crossed 76. So probably by age we are one of the oldest. So they are trying to secure me as much as possible. They are afraid and afraid. So I try to respect, but every day I'm on the Zoom. I give class on Bhagavatamritam. I gave on Nectar of Devotion full. Then Madhurya Kadambini also. And another, we see Sikshashtakam. So this is a devotional sequence which is going to uplift ourselves in the time of hardships, So this is how the things are going. We have to tolerate.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So these were all questions. So we are very thankful for your wonderful association. You narrated various pastimes of His Bhakti Charu Swami Guru Maharaj, and also many pastimes for your own life also. Like you told about how Guru Maharaj used to invite for pizza feast in his quarter at Mayapur, and how he just manifested Ujjain temple within 9 months.
Yeah.
And how he was very...
Even a child is not born exactly in 9 months. It takes sometimes more.
So, and you told about how he was so expert. He just jumped into the situation and resolved it. And you told the meaning of Bhakti Charu, how he was
I
expert.
think that is the example of spontaneous devotional service. Spontaneity. You have to look for spontaneity in this action. It's not like that he was jumping in the fire. Yeah, jumping in the fire of devotional service is there. But that is only spontaneous. And it springs from his own heart, the intensified desire which is coming.
Yeah, and you told about this how he was a leader with instant justifying quality. He took the decision for a Ujjain temple, and how he committed himself for the New York court case. He pledged the highest amount and then fulfilled that also. He was enthusiastic and tolerant both at the same time. This was the unique in his dealing, and how he was committed to develop Orlando project. And you told about this 2012 Vyas Puja offering, where his intense separation was manifested through his intensified devotional service. He was asking for Srila Prabhupada association, though he was never separated from him.
Mm.
And you told about your joining ISKCON, how you served, how was your initial days in ISKCON. So many services even before your first initiation, and you inherited that pastime of $50,000 overnight collection for these
It
devotees.
was a miracle. Everything was coming on the spontaneous level, you know.
So we are very thankful, Maharaj, for your wonderful association, and we beg for your blessings to empower us so that we can follow these teachings, whatever you told, and become a loyal servant of Srila Prabhupada and
Jai Shri
continue our
Prabhupada.
services in the mission of his school whole life. And we also request Your Holiness to kindly visit Ujjain whenever this COVID situation is settled,
Yes, yes.
and we'll have more of your association.
I'll be talking to Abhay Charan Prabhu tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, things are happening. The workshop should be open now. Is it going on?
It's not so much, but small things are going on. Aveshan Pro is taking care. Not whole project is running smoothly, but some few things are
How soon
still.
it will be opening? Because there are a couple of things outstanding,
Okay.
and we need to receive it, faster. But two more things I wanted to put an order, because that is also for a temple in Gujarat, you know.
Now, Maharaj, it's gradually it's opening. The
Yeah.
situation is improving now
Now,
gradually.
because we are receiving the parcels and other things, so I don't think it is difficult. But let's see. I will talk to him and put up the situation.
Yes, Maharaj. Okay, so
All right.
yeah, we should express our heartfelt gratitude to Maharaj by loudly
Hare
chanting one time
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. His Holiness Vedavyasapriya Swami Maharaj ki Jai, Jagat Guru Srila
Jai Bhakti
Prabhupada
Charu
ki
Swami Maharaj ki
Jai, Gaur Prabhu. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.